Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today I have another knife review. It's a big one. Not really. It's a small one. A very little one. It's almost like a bug. Like a ladybug. Because it is a ladybug. So this is the Spyderco Ladybug. Okay? This is the Spyderco Ladybug. I'll read over some specs and get into it and talk about the color variation and the blade steel. So the overall length of this knife is 4.37 inches. The blade length is 1.94 inches. The cutting edge is 1.68 inches. The blade thickness is 0.08 inches thick. The handle thickness is 0.3 inches thick, and the handle length is 2.44 inches. And the weight of this little guy comes in at a whopping 0.54 ounces. Oh my god, it's sub 1 ounce. Yeah, seriously. All right, so that being said, let's check it out. So this is freaking tiny. This is the Ladybug from Spyderco. It's a fairly popular knife. Just because it's affordable, all variations of this knife, as far as I'm aware of, are easily under $100. The basic forms of this knife are around $60, I think, or less, maybe even 40 to 50, depending on where you shop. But talking about the blade, it's kind of typical of Spyderco's Endura or Delica style blade, where we have that upsweep thumb ramp because of the finger hole, and then it goes straight down, angles down with a flat grind. Here our plain edge blade with a little bit of belly to sweep up. Really cool knife design. You get a very delicate and precise tip for doing all sorts of wicked little gnarly cuts, which is cool. So awesome. This sometimes is listed as a hollow grind, but I believe it's a flat grind blade because that's what Spyderco does best. And it's pretty awesome. I love the look of that. As you can see, there's jimping up here. It has the Spyderco opening hole. On the blade, we have the Spyderco logo. It's labeled with Spyderco ZDP 189. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a ZDP blade, steel blade, which ZDP is a Japanese blade steel that is super tough, holds an edge ridiculously well, and super stain resistant stainless steel. It's top-notch stuff that Spyderco uses on some of their blades. Now, it doesn't typically come with a mirrored polished blade. This was put on by a friend, and because of the thickness of the blade, this thing is wickedly sharp. Like, definitely one of the sharpest knives I have in my collection, and I haven't even touched this up, and it's still just slicing. So, dang! That being said, moving into the handle is a really cool designed handle, just because the way that it works with the thumb ramp and the cutouts or the choils that are marked in here for your finger, it fits the hand perfectly. Like the curves of my fingers just fit in there, and the thumb just locks into that jimping, and you surprisingly have a really good grip on this knife. Now, also, my friend, when I got this from him, because I traded for it, had put on this liner to extend the ability to grip, and now I got room for pinky, creating a 4-finger grip on a tiny little knife, which is awesome. So it actually locks into place really well. The handle material is the Spyderco typical FRN, and because it has this special steel, the ZDP, it also has this special British racing green, is what they're calling it, is the color of the handles. It just looks like a forest green. That being said, there's only 2 real pins in here. One for the locking mechanism and the other for the pivot. And then the rest, there's no liners, it seems, and the rest is just formed FRN. There is a micro style of the bidirectional texturing, and all the edges are chamfered a little, or at least rounded, to make it more comfortable. There is some molded jimping in the back of the spine here before it leads up into that thumb ramp, which is also nice, as well as on the back here, which I'm not exactly sure why, but whatever. Cool. So, oh, and then there's a lanyard hole. There is no pocket clip on this or any other Ladybugs. They're just too small, and it's considered Spyderco's keychain knife, the perfect size, weight for keychain knives. Now, the Ladybug for Spyderco does come in a number of different colors. Yellow, purple, pink, green, all the different colors, as well as they have some stainless steel variations of them, and I think even maybe a G10 variation, but I could be wrong. That being said, let's compare it to some other knives. Now, I don't have many small knives, so I'm going to be stretching a little to find knives that I can compare it to. Most of them are Spyderco or Spyderco related, so I do have a Spyderco dog tag knife. We'll throw that in there. I also have a Gerber dime, using the knife on that. I have a Swiss Army knife Tinker, I believe is this model. This is the oldest pocket knife I own, and I should do a review on this because it's over 20 years old and it's still kicking ass. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. It's still kicking butt, and the carving blade on it is comparable. And then my favorite new little knife, which is pretty sweet, is the Bird Starling 2. And it might be the most comparable to the Ladybug. So we'll set that right there. So, looking at the blade lengths, it looks like the Starling 2 and the Ladybug are the longest, almost by a whole half inch. It looks like the Ladybug is just ever so slightly longer. Handle length, that's silly. I mean, handle length wise, the Starling and the Ladybug are about the same. Whatever, these don't really count, but we'll look at thickness then, because obviously that's a full size folder there. So thickness, looks like they're about the same. Maybe I'll give it to the Ladybug, which is funny. I didn't expect that. Then we got the dime. Looks like the Ladybug beats the dime as well. Then we have the dog tag knife, and the Ladybug got his butt kicked because this little guy is ridiculously thick. Ridiculous. It's just cool. I don't know. And then we have the Bird Starling 2, and the Starling is thicker. Now, blade steel compared to all the rest of these knives, the blade steel on the Ladybug beats all of the other blade steels. This is S30V, but this is still considered a step up from S30V. That being said, our final test is the ugly brown glove test. Let's try this. Now, all lockbacks are two-hand close, but one hand open for some of them, so we're going to test that. I'll tell you right now, the bidirectional texturing feels pretty good. Not as best, it's really small. I definitely have had better experiences with larger knives that Spyderco has that has the bidirectional texturing, but it's still doable with the cloth glove. But like I said, I've had better results with some of their bigger models. Now, trying to open it, I have to try to get my hand, and it's doable. Definitely doable. Once again, I have to do it really slow and careful. I feel my glove slipping There isn't that big of a catch there for my thumb, but I feel it kind of slipping, so I have to slowly do it. But it is doable. Once it's open, that thumb ramp works fantastic, and the choils work good. So it actually feels much better holding it once it's open. And locking, I can press the lock and use two hands, so it's doable. I'd say it passes the ugly brown glove test. The opening part's kind of iffy, so we'll say it about 65% pass. So yeah, awesome little knife. Now, this color variation in blade steel might be, I don't know if they're continually making these or if there's a limited number, but you might want to check on that. Definitely, if you're a fan of the Ladybug and you want to get all the variations, pick this one up as well. Otherwise, if you just want a very solid keychain knife that weighs next to nothing, that will definitely get some work done, please consider the Ladybug, and definitely consider the Bird Starling 2. Just got to give a shout out for that because I've been carrying this one around nonstop and it gets tons of work done. So definitely a great little utility knife. But check it out. This is the Spyderco Ladybug ZDP variation with the British Racing Green. Please like, subscribe, comment, check the eye in the upper right hand corner for links to my other knife reviews and unboxings. I'll keep bringing stuff to you as best I can. Other than that, thank you, and I'll see you outside.